Okay, so our lesson for today, we will have to continue with after the lesson on measures of central tendency. Ang next natin na lesson natin dito, we will try to have an example on how we can identify the mean, median, mode given a certain data. Example tayo ngayon, and then we'll try to continue until measure of dispersion. Okay, so before that, let us first review the properties, and then we'll have example, and then proceed with measure of dispersion later on. So let me share my screen. Okay, so can you recall the mean has the following properties wherein it is unique. Ibig sabihin, isa lang ang makukuha nating mean sa bawat set of data natin. For this one is best for interval and ratio data. When we compute for the mean, all values are included kasi isama natin sila lahat sa pag-add or pag-average. With this, this is affected by extreme values, but this one is most appropriate in symmetrical data. This one, we will try to consider this, or you can actually understand this further kung dating natin sa skewness in symmetrical data. And then for the ungroup, we just get the average. We just add all x's and then we divide it by the sample size n. And then for group data, I'll show it to you later on. I just have to multiply the frequency with the plus marks, and then you add all these products and divide it by the sample size. The weighted mean and then the median. We have the following properties, also unique, but this one is not affected by extreme values. Best for ordinal data. Okay, for skewed and with data, we just have to consider the sample size, it's odd, and if it's even. And then for good data, we'll be using this formula. We'll have an example of this later on. Trying to find all these variables here. Okay. For mode, most or frequently occurring value, easiest to compute, can be one more or more than one or no mode. Unlike yung ating mean at saka median, ito pwede siyang isa, pwede siyang madami, or pwedeng wala. Yung mean at saka median, laging isa lang. Okay, so we'll have an example also of this. But this one, same thing with the median, this is not affected by extreme values. This is the only one applicable for nominal data. So for ungroup data, all you have to do is to find the most frequent data or the one with the highest frequency. For group data, we will be following this formula wherein we have this values. So later on sa example, makikita nyo kung paano po nito mga ito. So before we proceed with the measure of dispersion, let's have an example first on this. Where is that? Okay. Okay, let's have this. Okay. So given the following data, then data or literal na data, and then we just identify, make a frequency distribution table. Review rin natin paano yung frequency distribution table para makuha natin yung central tendency of the group data, and then later on sa variance for the pinaka data. We'll skip this later. Okay, so we identified already how to identify the class size or the class width. We just use this formula. In range, using our data, we have here the highest is 10, the lowest is 1, so 10 minus 1, that would just be 9. And then your small n here, we just count all your data, in this case, that would be 13, so we have this. So Yung ating age is around 1.96. Again, we round up, so we have 2. Okay, so I have here the frequency distribution table already. But to review, to find this, ang gagawin lang natin is we start with the class interval or CI. We copy the smallest value in our data. So we have 1. And then we add, ito yung magiging unang lower limit natin. Okay, so after that, para makuha yung next na value, i-add lang natin yung ating first number na to na 1 with your age. So 1 plus, in this case, 2. So that would be 3. Saan natin ilalagay? Dito. Siya yung magiging sunod na lower limit. And then, plus ka lang ng plus yung ating class size. Okay? So notice, we ended with 9 kasi pag nag-add ka ng age ulit dito o ng 2, magiging 11 na. Wala na namang value na 11 sa ating data, so we ended with 9. Now, to get the upper limit, ang gagawin lang natin is we just subtract by the scale. In this case, by whole number, so we subtract by 1. Subtract lang natin yung lower limit ng 1, makukuha natin yung unang upper limit. Okay? So subtract lang natin yung second lower limit ng 1, so makukuha natin yung first upper limit ng first class interval natin. And then saka na lang tayo ulit mag-a-add ng age sa mga susunod para makuha yung mga upper limits. Okay? So yung class boundary naman, ito gagamitin natin later. Dito natin kukunin yung mga L ng median at saka ng mode. So to find the class boundary, ang gagawin lang natin is we just divide the gap by 2. In this case, ang gap ng class interval natin, 3 minus 2 will be 1. So divided by 2, that will be 0.5. Mag-a-add at mag-subtract muna tayo sa lower limit ng 0.5. Mag-a-add lang tayo ng 0.5 din sa upper limit. So ganun ang gagawin natin sa lahat. Okay? And then itong x natin is the class mark. So gagawin lang natin is we just get the average of the lower and the upper limits. Kumari ito, 1 plus 2, that would be 3 divided by 2, that would be 1.5. And then mag-add na lang tayo ng class size ulit. Ganun din nakakalabasan kahit na i-average natin itong mga lower and upper limit. Now the frequency, bibilangin natin kung ilan yung nakapaloob dun sa interval. Kunwari, 1 to 2, ilan dito? Bilangan. So we have 1, 2, 3. So tatlo yung ating frequency. So 3 to 4, dalawa. That's why we have 2. 5 to 6, we have 3. And then 7 to 8, that would be 4. And then 9 to 10, we have 1. Now, less than cumulative frequency, gagamitin natin ito later on dun sa median. So less than cumulative frequency, we just copy the frequency of the first one and then mag-a-add lang tayo dun sa susunod. Add lang natin yung second frequency, magiging 5. So 5 plus the next frequency, we have 8. 8 plus 4, we have 12. And then 12 plus 1, we have 13. Bakit ganon? Again, ang less than cumulative frequency, ito naman yung mga values less than the first, less than the upper limits. Okay, so less than 2.5, less than 4.5, less than 10.5. Ito mga, kaya ito yung magiging frequency. So parang accumulate lang natin, kaya nga cumulative frequency, ina-accumulate lang natin yung mga the one below that. Okay, kaya nagiging yung mga frequency natin. Greater than cumulative frequency, baliktad. Magsimula tayo sa mataas, kopya natin, as mag-add lang tayo ng next na frequency. So, and then next is 5 plus 3, that's why we have 8, and then 8 plus 2, we have 10, and then 10 plus 3, we have 10. Now, itong fx, just simply the product of f and then x. Yung f natin na 3 times the 1.5 na x, so 3 times 1.5, we have 4.5. Next is 2 times 3.5, kaya 7, and so on. And then x squared, we just square yung ating x. So 1.5 squared, so we have that. 3.5 squared, and so on. Okay. Ito namang fx squared, ang gagawin natin, multiply natin yung x squared with the f. So 3 times 2.25, so we have 6.75, and so on. So 12.25 times 2, so we have 24.5, and so on. And then ito lang ang kailangan natin add yung fx, yung 67.5. Yung fx squared naman, i-add natin lahat. we have 47.1. Tandaan natin, gamitin natin sila later on. Okay, so the next thing we have to do now is let's try to find the mean. So to find the mean, ito meron agad. The mean will just be summation of fx. Ito yung summation of fx, 67.5 divided by your sample size n. We have your 13. So that's why you have 67.5 divided by 13. That's why we have 5.19. Okay, next. So how about the median? So the median, first get n over 2. N over 2, we have n is 13 divided by 2. That's why we have 6.5. We first have to get the median class. The median class natin dito will be the one, titingnan natin dun sa less than CF, kung nasaan si 6.5. Paano natin makikita yon? Dito, yung una 3, di ba? And then 5. Yung 3, ibig sabihin nito, yung first, second, third na ating data na dito sa interval na to. Dahil nandito si 1, 2, 3, dito sa next row natin, si 4 and then 5. Dito sa third column, third row natin, that will give you, nandun na si 6, 7, and 8. Si 6.5 is in between 7 and 8, di ba? Sorry, 6 and then 5. So, andito yung ating median class. Okay, so dito natin kukuhanin yung mga kailangan, yung mga nandun sa formula natin. So, yung formula natin ng median is L plus N over 2 minus CF over F plus times H. Ano yung L? Yung L is the lower limit of the class boundary of the median class. Kung na-highlight natin dilaw, yung lower limit ng class boundary, so we have 4.5. Yung N over 2, meron na tayo. Ano naman yung CF? Yung CF is the CF preceding the median class. So ito yung median class natin, hindi ito kundi yung before. So that's why we have 5 as the CF. And then F now, in this case, is the frequency of the median class. So frequency nitong nandito sa dilaw, so we have 3. And then H, we have already your value. So substituting these values, we have your median to be 5.5. Okay. Next, we have the mode. So yung mode naman, so we first have to identify the modal class. Ang modal class, we just have to look into the frequency kung alin ang pinakamalaking value. In this case, ang pinakamalaki dito ay 4. So yung class interval na 7 to 8 yung ating modal class. So same thing, kailangan natin yung formula ng ating mode. Ito, di ba? So yung L in this case, ganun din. Kung ano yung lower limit ng ating class boundary dun sa ating modal class. So we have 6.5. Now, ano naman itong F sub m, F sub m minus 1, F sub m plus 1. Okay? Yung F sub m, frequency ng ating modal class. In this case, we have 4. Okay? Yung Fm minus 1, before. So we have 3. And then Fm plus 1, that would be the after. That's why we have 1. So substituting that, so 6.5, Fm natin ay 4. So lahat na naging 4. Yung Fm minus 1, 3. Okay? And then yung Fm plus 1, we have negative 1. And then the H is, and then when you compute this, it will be 7. So yung mode natin dito is 7. Okay, malinaw ba guys? Any questions so far? Okay, so as usual, masyado kayong magagaling. Lagi kayong walang tanong. So let's continue. Okay. Ay, wait lang. Mamaya na pala ito. So let's have the next one, which is on measures of dispersion of time. Okay. Measure of dispersion, yung sinabi nating measure of dispersion kanina, measure of central location, kukunin natin yung gitna. Kanina, na-discuss natin ay example on group data. Dito we'll have to try to discuss both ungroup and then group data later on. For the measure of dispersion, it's just simply getting, later on we already have the range, the lower, highest value minus lowest value. Ang kukunin lang natin dito kung gaano kalawak yung mga values natin. Pero yung range madaling kunin pero hindi siya nagbibigay ng ganong kagandang measure. Ang mas magandang measure na i-discuss natin is the variance and the standard deviation. So we have a small standard deviation, ibig sabihin, mas magkakalapit sila sa mean. Okay? So if in this figure, yung ating, ito yung tuktok, ito yung mean ng ating data, so mean of your variable, if the standard deviation is small, then it means yung ating mga values is closer to the mean. And then if the standard deviation is bigger, then it means that your data is more dispersed or they are farther away from the mean. To compute for the sample variance and standard deviation for ungroup data, we will be having this formula. Kanina napansin natin kung kapag sinabi nating smaller standard deviation or variance, it means it's farther from the mean. Kaya kasi yun din ang dun galing yung ating definition ng ating variance and standard deviation. So yung variance, sabi dito, we just get the sum of the difference of each data from the mean, and then we square and then divide it by n minus 1. Or simply, parang ito, we are sort of averaging the distances. Kaya pag sinabi nating variance is actually the average distance of each of your data from the mean. Bakit magkatabi yung variance sa standard deviation? Kasi yung standard deviation is just the square root of the variance. Yung S squared, yung variance, yung S yun yung ating standard deviation. So we just get the square root of the variance, we have the standard deviation. But hindi ito yung gagamitin natin pag-compute kasi pag nagma-manual computation tayo, itong so formula na to medyo masalimuot ito. Ito yung gagamitin natin. So it may look more complicated but later on I'll show you na mas madali siyang gamitin. Okay, for the group, halos magkamukha lang sila. Ang pagkakaiba lang meron ng F. Okay? For the population, ito bihira kasi itong gamitin. Okay, so let's have an example on how we can solve for the variance and standard deviation of ungroup and ungroup data. Okay, let's have this. So I already have, say for example, we have this data. Ito na yung aking X, yung mga sample ko. And then I already squared the x's. So x squared. So 5 squared, 4 squared, 4.5 squared, and so on. And then I added all the x squareds, and then I added all the x. Ito yung magiging summation of x ko. Okay? So, ito yung ating formula na sinasabi, di ba? Bakit ito yung gagamitin? Kasi kung titingnan nyo, summation of x squared, meron na tayo dito. And then summation of x ito. Madali siyang kunin, di ba? Simply square mo lang isa't isa, tapos i-add mo na lang yan. And then n is just a sample size. So we just count this. So this will be 9. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or sorry, 8. So we have this. So we have around 4 or 0.42 or the standard deviation to be 6 or 0.65. I'll show you what if you use the first formula. Ito yung first formula natin, di ba? Tingnan nyo kung gaano kasalimuot yung ginawa. We subtract first from the mean. Ito yung mean natin. Kinumpit muna natin yung mean. And to compute for that, i-add lang natin yung x divided by n. So, yun yung ating mean. Tapos, isusubtract natin ito kada isa. Saka natin i-square. So, imagine nyo kung pindutin nyo yun sa calculator, it will be quite lengthy. Ito, in-exaggerate ko lang kasi nagkaroon ng decimal place. Pero kahit walang decimal place yan, it will actually be lengthy na pipindot ko ng isa. So, and then we square po bawat difference. Saka natin i-add yung mga different, mga squares na to. Yun nga lang, pag nakuha na natin to, madali na lang siya. Kasi substitute na lang natin 2.9687 dito sa numerator, and then divided by 8 minus 1. Okay, we'll have the same result. Pero yun nga lang, before we arrive with 2.96875, medyo masalimuot mo na yung ating pinagdaanan. Okay? So, for the variance naman ng ating group data, so kanina, ito na yung example natin. So, yung variance, ito yung gagamitin natin. Saan natin makukuha si summation of fx squared? Ito na yung fx squared. Sum mo ngayon is 437.25. And then fx, 67, saka natin i-square. Okay? So, tingnan nyo ha. Ito, inad muna natin yung fx, lahat ng mga fx squared. Ito naman, pagkat saka natin, ay, nagkaroon muna natin saka inad. Ito naman, inad muna saka i-square to dito. Okay, so if we get that, notice we have 7.20. Okay, or 2.69 ang ating standard deviation. Okay, any question, guys? May tanong ba? Hello? Wala. Okay, kung walang tanong, so sige. I'll stop the recording na. And then you may watch this again. I'll try to upload this again in YouTube in the account that I mentioned last time. Okay.